Hello and welcome to the Gavel Strikes. My name is Xavier Chavez, and today I have filling in for Brian, Rick Akers.
Hello, how are you doing out there?
And if anybody is wondering where Brian is, I know I'm not, and a couple of other people aren't. But if anybody is out there wondering where Brian is, he shot a little video so he can show you some of the goodies he's picking up recently. So, Tommy?
Hey everybody, this is Brian Wiedman, Heritage Comics Grader on Instagram. Thanks for joining us. I'm not at the podcast tomorrow, actually, which will be today when you look at it. But I am picking up this major collection with my buddy Matt McGee, who's holding the phone. That guy there. And I thought I'd get to show you a sneak peek. You guys get to see this before anybody else does. And let's see what we got here. We have everything. Strange Tales 110, Daredevil 1, Hulk 1, a Punch 9 of all things, a Human Torch #1 of all things. Of course, there's a Hulk 181, X-Men 1, and then look at this, Amazing 3, 2 Avengers 1, X-Men 4, 2 129s, 48 Giant Size, of course, Adventure 247. Look at how nice. These are awesome. These are all the big books. Well, some of the big books, because there's other stuff that is just so many, you can't really get them all. Thought you guys would like to see that. There is also a Vampirilla 1 that is so nice that it might be the second 9/8 that exists. It's going to be close, so I can't wait to show that to you at some point. But thanks for joining me. This was a sneak peek. I will be back in 2 weeks with you guys for the podcast. Hopefully Rick and Xavier take care of you, and I'm sure they will show you some great stuff. Take care, guys. Bye.
Wow, that's, Brian's out there jet setting around the world, looking at collections.
Bring him in. Again, it's really cool when you see a collection like that with has all the keys, and especially they're still raw. So it's always fun to see what they're going to grade at or anything like that. So
yeah, it's great to be out there doing that. That's one of the fun. That's one of the fun things about our job is being able to go out when you call us and let us know, hey, I want to consign some things, and we come out there and work with you.
And it's like a treasure hunt. You never like he said that Punch 9 is just like that was very unexpected for him. I'm
right.
Sure, so.
Yeah, Punch 9's a pretty rare book.
Yeah,
pretty tough.
So let's get into the comic art. As you can see, like I've been saying in the last podcast, I've always tried to bring a strip piece, and this is a newer piece, Adam, and it's in again it's a Sunday, and it's by Brian Bissett. It should have been still under $500 if I'm not mistaken, but it's again a great piece from modern newspaper that they've been bringing up. One of my newer favorite strips. Again, it's like Mutts and Get Fuzzy is actually one of my favorites. So
I can see some Breath influence there.
Yeah, kind of. And it's just like, and that's what's fun about all these newspaper strips is I was looking at a piece the other day that it was very similar to the Far Side, and it wasn't Far Side, but you can tell that even the joke was very much influenced by Gary Larson. So, and this is it's still under $500, $250. So, a great piece to add to your comic strip collection, and a Sunday no less. So. They don't come up often. So the next piece, again, there's several newer pieces here. It's by Brett Booth and Rapmundo, inked it. And I particularly like, Brett Booth had a long run on Flash, and I particularly like his style because it kind of shows speed, especially the way he drew lightning. It's kind of the way that McFarlane would draw the spider webs is very unique to his art style. And again, under $250 for a DC splash, so it's just a great piece. Again, very from a recently prolific artist for the Flash, and again, just his watch, and I think this is one of the things that the times what's it called, the Speed Force is messing with him. So just a great splash.
Xavier has a great eye for this kind of stuff. So when he brings these pieces out, these are things you probably need to be looking at, in my opinion.
Well, again, a lot of other collectors pay attention. So that again, and I'm very flattered that my opinion is appreciated, or not only is also followed sometimes. So it's a big honor. It's it's
You have a
great
knack. You
panel.
have a knack for pulling diamonds out of the rough. You know.
I wish. Again, I hope I do, because again, I try as much as I can. So, and this is another piece that's in the current auction, Tommy Castillo and Rodney Ramos, and it's under $100. And this is a great piece with Poison Ivy all over the page, basically doing what she does to a bad guy, and again getting him to do what she wants. Just a great piece with her in every panel, a great close up of her face on this last panel, and just awesome detail everywhere. So
Now, this artist, have you seen much of his stuff?
again, Tommy Castillo does a lot of DC stuff. He's been a prolific artist in the industry for a while, and so has Rodney Ramos. He's been a very prolific inker. He inked some Spider-Man stuff and stuff like that. And again, just these are newer artists that their styles kind of stand out. And again, sometimes it's not only the style and the page, it's also the paneling. This paneling, I think, is great, where it's these three long, and then you have her face with the villain or the bad guy being tortured by her, basically. So
this is one of the better pages you've seen from him, or one of the standout pages.
Again, he does. I've seen some splashes and stuff like that, but yeah, this is a nicer page, again, with a girl. So we all love a nice girl on the page. So
it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. So this is a great piece. So, and again, surprisingly, under $200, and the original asking price from Tommy was $200, or Rodney Ramos. So. Again, I'm a big fan of Zatanna, and this is a newer artist. I really haven't seen much of his work. Rick, can you pull that up, Tommy? Sorry. It's Mayers, I think. Rick Mays. And again, a splash page from the Zatanna series. A little bit cartoony, a little bit, again, with the big boots, very gothic and stuff like that. But Zatanna's always been a favorite of mine, with Black Canary. I think it's the fishnet stockings that do it for me, or the top hat. But it's also a cool piece because there's a poster of her in the background from her appearances. So again, just a great splash of her looking out at you. Nice piece to have on your wall, and very affordable for a splash, under $500. So, and Zatanna pieces like this don't usually come up that often. You'll see her in paneling, especially from her series. You don't see stuff that come out that much, and a nice splash, or like I said, the only thing better that I'd love to have than this is pretty much one of the Adam Hughes Catwoman covers that she came out in. So, which we sold one of those, I think, a couple years ago. So, it's just good girl pinup type of stuff. So.
Nothing wrong with that. That's the American way.
Yeah, again, and it's just beautiful art. Again, art for art's sake, and it's actually hero in costume, like I was saying. Like, it's not her out of costume or anything. It's just full costume. So
yeah, it's pretty sweet.
And here I think I have a couple of X-Men pages coming up. So there are a couple of X-Men pieces in the auction, and this one I particularly picked up because it has the whole team scene. It has Jubilee with Sunfire. It has the Jet, and again, it's from X-Men Adventures. It's by Chris Batista and Andrew P. Boy. And Andrew P. Boy is, again, another prolific inker, under $100. And just, again, a great X-Men piece with the whole team in at least one panel. And Jubilee kicking butt. What more could you want? Again, and under $100, affordable art. It's if you're going to find something like this where it's 90s art from like Silvestri or Jim Lee, it's gonna cost multiple times. So
yes,
yeah. So this next piece here, I brought again another Uncanny X-Men piece by Ian Churchill, and I brought this piece along because a couple of weeks ago I also had a piece by him, and I was talking about the cover to this issue actually, where Wolverine and Jean Grey are embracing and basically they're kissing. That cover to me is one of my favorite covers from the X-Men series when I was a kid. And when I saw this page in the weekly, I was just like, well, I can talk about this page and bring it in. And it has, again, perfect Wolverine, claws out, 3/4 splash almost, coming at the bad guy, which basically dissolves him. But this top panel is just
Yeah.
what everybody wants in a Wolverine, and it also has him smoking the cigar before Marvel decided not to go drawing him that way and not to implement the cigar on Wolverine or Nick Fury. So this is one of the last time periods that you'll see that.
I mean, to see this at 250 right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's where that one's going to end.
No, and again, it's that's one of the things. Ian Churchill, I love. Look at all the detail and just the hair. So and the inking, I think, is perfect. So just a great page, like I said. Wolverine claws out.
Yeah, breaking through the panel.
Yeah,
pretty sweet. Yeah, that's a great.
And
piece.
again, under $500. It's like I said, this ends today, so I don't expect it to end at that point. So, and next is another X-Men piece, but this is a What If piece, and I've always loved What If. I've said this several times, and again, a great X-Men piece with the Watcher, Doctor Strange, and all the X-Men here. And I also brought this piece along so you can see what happens, which we've brought here before, with the marker and the way that you display it, it fades. It also, over time, depending on what marker they use, it bleeds this way. But I think this also did a very good job because it makes it look sepia. So it's just a nice piece. And those, actually, the contrasting colors of the markers make it pop a little bit more than just a regular page. And again, under $500, a What If page. And was it under $500, Tommy? I didn't see that. So yeah, it's still under $500. So. Wow. Again, got great paneling and great Doctor Strange here, and the Watcher, like everybody always wants, because he's the one that's telling you the difference in the story. So, and that's the last X-Men page. Here's a nice Unknown Soldier title splash page, and I brought this one along because again, there are several war pages in this weekly's auction, and just great pieces. This one particularly, like I said, a title splash. Under $250. It has great dogfight in the sky, and then the soldier waking up almost PTSD. And again, just a great page by Rick Akers and Romeo Tengel. So
yeah, Rick Akers, huh? Yeah. This page has that, that like EC,
terror feel.
Yeah, it does. It's great.
So again,
even though he was not an EC artist, I understand.
But again, you can see the info. Again, he probably loved some of this stuff. He probably read some of it, and it was influenced by it. So that's what's cool about a lot of these artists, like Graham Ingalls, Bernie Wrightson influenced by him and stuff like that. It's just the line work and stuff like that. You can see when an artist is like when you talk about a fine art, the school of that artist.
See, I always feel like every time I look at Wrightson or I look at Frazetta, I look at these guys, I always go back to Alex Raymond, because I just feel like that guy was like the godfather of this beautiful pencil work.
Well, especially the line work and the contrast of the light and darkness. It's almost like that crime noir type of feel in a comic strip,
right?
And instead of it being a video. So yeah, I definitely, especially the line works where you'll see with a girl or with a guy in the shade. Those are perfect panels. So I can definitely understand that influence. So, and the last page leading into Rick being a Golden Age guy and bringing some Golden Age comics and pulp pieces is this good girl romance page. And surprisingly, it's under $250 as a page, but it's unknown artist, and it's just credited as a romance story page. So, but again, you have a full figure, beautiful woman. You have close-ups of her face and that beautiful eyes. Again, her playing hard to get, her in lingerie, and her pretty much all dressed up to go on the date with the guy. It's kind of a full page of how you would want her day going by. So
wow, I'm reading some of these lines here. She is all business.
Yes, she is.
Poor Stan couldn't seem to realize that there's just no more time left to spend with him. She says, "Stan, we've gone through this so many times now," and he's like, "All right, I'll go." And then she's thinking to herself, sometimes I'm actually glad to have Bill's company. At least he doesn't try to pull me away from my work. Wow, man. She's intense.
Again, great page. And
Don't talk in
very-
riddles, Bill.
Very, very affordable for again a golden age twice up piece. So
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is the kind of piece right here. I mean, I like this.
yeah,
I mean, if this were even, let's not say this is Matt. If this were Matt
Yeah.
Baker,
it would. Yeah.
it would be, I don't know, $7,000.
$10,000,
Yeah,
yeah.
$10,000. But even if this were like clearly an artist that was known, like even like a Lubbers or something, I mean, it's still gonna be like a
$2,500.
yeah, but you probably have a chance to pick this kind of page up for under $500 or $600.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and then again, the part of collecting art and part of all that stuff is the detective work. So
Yeah.
you might be able to find out where this page is eventually. So just researching different romance comics or coming across different comics that you might be able to pick up. So again,
Well, Xavier, you knocked it out of the park. Awesome stuff.
So and again, you have no lack of awesome stuff. So there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
Silver Age, Golden Age, foreign.
Yeah, and even like some, even a Copper Age book by someone who is clearly influenced by
Oh yeah,
Golden Age artists.
Yes.
And we'll get into it.
Yeah.
But starting here, we have Tales of Suspense 39. This is this week in, let's see if I get there. We go 7.0. This is a white page copy of the first appearance of Iron Man, Tony Stark. And classic, Kirby Don Heck cover, and a pretty amazing piece that somehow right now is still at $2,300. I'll take 10. Obviously, this is a much more valuable book, and it will be continuing to go up. I'm sure there's proxy bids. Why don't you go ahead and put yours in now?
Yeah, but
And boy, I mean, this is a pretty sweet book. I definitely think that you could spend your money more poorly than this.
And again, it's crazy that it's white pages, and I guess it only got the 7 because of the color rub on the bottom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it looks better than that
it's
otherwise.
it's definitely better than a 7.
Yeah, it's a sweet
So,
book, and I think that will definitely be one of this. Oh yeah, that shows up better when you hold it over that. There's less glare. It'll be a real standout. So now we're going to transition a little bit into a PCH book that coming up this week. Mysterious Adventures #6 and CGC 9.0. It's tied with 2 others for highest. I mean, just a freaking cool skeleton cover. He's coming up out of the swamp. You can see the moss is coming out of his eyeballs, and just pretty. That thing is Andrew's ghost. It's alive. We can't get by. And she's like, "Hey, shoot it." I don't know if that's going to really accomplish much, but maybe it might chip off one of his bones or something if he can find a way to shoot him in the right spot. But
shoot him in the elbow, he'll lose an arm.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. But I mean, to get a 9.0 PCH book, from that period is pretty tough. And
from the 50s, yeah.
And I got to tell you, I think this is. I mean, right now that book is under $500. Get your bids in for sure.
And it's from the Forbidden collection.
From the Forbidden collection as well, which we've had a number of books from that collection. Pretty interesting, wide variety collection that has everything from books like this to some other Golden Age to Silver Age books and even some bronze. So Mysterious Adventures, pretty cool book. Now we're getting into probably my favorite comic artist of all time, and that is Matt Baker. Teenage Romances 39. That's a CGC 7.0, and it's at $280 right now. This is tied for highest graded, and I got to tell you, to get Matt Baker St. John romance books, high grade is 5.0.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when you get to 5.0 and above, that's kind of in an elite class for those books. And 7.0 is really something. So this is a great book, pre-code romance. he's basically, first of all, these people are not teenagers. Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, they're definitely like, yeah, thanks. Zoom in there because that guy's at least 28 and she's 35.
Have you seen high school pictures from back in the day? They look like they were 30.
That's true. That's true. They were so well groomed. And basically, this guy's like talking about how, hey, the fellas over there said she was a pushover, but I'm getting no place fast. You know, I'm going to have to skedaddle on the kazoo or something. You know?
Well, I'm going to have to try harder on this one.
Right, right. So you have a. I love these kinds of books, and that right there is extremely high grade for that. And then getting into something.
I always love these. One of the romance ones that I'll never forget, it was a DC book, and the girl's crying and running away, and the mom's yelling at her, and she's saying, "Why can't you be like your sister and have a different guy every night?" and stuff like that. And I was just like, wow. It's just like the times have changed, haven't they?
Times have changed. You're getting too serious with that boy. It's not right. I need you to get out there and experience more. Now here, talking about, I mean, you know, we both can talk about.
Oh yeah, Dave Stevens.
Dave Stevens. I mean, you know.
I mean, again, a person influenced by Frank Frazetta. You can tell, and in the different influences, because look at Betty Page's face, and then look at the cartoony face, like the little Abner stuff that he would be doing, or the Johnny Comment and stuff like that. Again, a person taken before his time. He was the creator of the Rocketeer.
That's right. Yeah, creator of the Rocketeer. It was Star Slayer #2.
Yeah.
And yeah, this book here in 9.8. I mean, I just really appreciate Dave Stevens. I would love to have one day, and we've had a couple, but they don't go cheap.
No, they do not.
If I could get a nice original Rocketeer page with Betty,
that's the key with Betty.
I've tried and failed.
Well, it's and again, showing people that are so influenced, influenced by Dave Stevens, Mark Schultz.
Yeah,
very much influenced by his style and the styles before him, and it is very similar in the way he renders his comic art. And
I've seen a lot of that with the Xenozoic tales and stuff like that. Yeah, and
dinosaurs and Cadillacs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, this is a chance. I mean, this book is at what's that? $3?
Yeah, $3.
Yeah. So yeah, get in there, get your bids in on that one, and pick it up because I think you'll be happy you did.
And it has a great Kaluta pinup on the back. So
it's full of great pinups.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Gray Morrow, a whole bunch of artists did incredible. And Doc Savage has an unnamed appearance in that book. Actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Now talk about a rare big book, Voodoo Annual 1. Okay, 3.0, square-bound, 100-page book, black cover, has Matt Baker interior art. There's a story in there called The Shelf of Skulls, which is one of the very few Matt Baker, PCH stories that were done. I mean, this is a tough book, and it's we've seen a few copies up in the last year or two, but then they disappear again. It was almost non-existent for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And now we've had a couple good sales, so a few more have come out. But the 20 some or whatever that's on census I don't know how many more there are beyond that. And so I definitely love these square-bound PCH books. I think there's
35 universal ones.
35?
Yeah,
okay.
35 universal ones.
Yeah.
And 41 complete restored and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, the Voodoo annuals all are really tough. Farrell Publishing. So I definitely think this is a special book for sure, and one that's featured this week. Oh, look at that!
Stark black.
Yeah, very stark black.
Yeah.
Speaking of black covers, we got some black in this around too. Now this is Planet Comics are definitely. I know Planet Comics pretty well, and I used to have a 9.0 white page of this. That was pretty sweet, but or 9.2, excuse me. But Planet Comics 41. I mean, Joe Doolin cover. First of all, Joe Doolin doesn't get anywhere near enough love, because if you go and you look at the most classic Golden Age Good Girl Art type covers, about 30% of them are Joe Doolin covers, and he did so many great Fiction House books, some great covers.
I love her face and then her hair pinned down. around the board. That's perfect.
She's not having a good day.
I think he's turning into Medusa. There's snakes next to it. Oh, Medusa
Men from Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's I think it's Oro, Lord of Jupiter, or something like that. Is the robot, if I recall. Pretty or origin story for Oro, Lord of Jupiter is what I should say. That's what I'm talking about. But this is a great classic Planet cover. Planet Comics, $360. That's going to go up.
Again, Planet was always my favorite title. When I wanted to collect Golden Age comics, I was just like, and it's just impossible to get a run. So.
Yeah, I've come close several times to having runs of Planets. I've had some great Planet comics. It's definitely I still have a few, but Planet comics are the quintessential science fiction comic for sure. Speaking of science fiction comics, here's something we've been getting into, and Xavier has been pretty involved in this kind of stuff. And I think this is one of yours that you brought in. This is Veckans Aventur, Volume 6, number 52, Swedish book. It was originally Jules Verne magazine. So this is kind of a comic that's devoted to science fiction. I looked up a little bit more about this cover, which I think is a really, really cool science fiction cover. This was done by a guy named Gabriel Mayorga. And we actually auctioned the original painting of this cover for $12,500 back in 2016. It was originally used as the cover to a pulp, to Super Science Stories, June 1940. But these foreign books have been, we've been auctioning more. You got to keep your eyes out for them.
And again, they like we've been seeing, if it's a key comic or if it's in high grade, because a lot of these comics are like Golden Age comics, where the highest grade you'll find is a 5 or a 6. So 7, 5, or 8 is unheard of in some of these, especially from countries like Mexico or South America, where the conditions weren't as good and the humidity was very, very high and poor storage conditions. So also a lot of recycling happened down there. So when do you think we will have another international auction? Well, that's a good question. We've been working on establishing that market and bringing it more into the higher prices. And the way we think about doing that in the future is in introducing a lot of the key issues into some of our signature auctions, some of our showcase auctions. Though there's going to be group lots and other comics and weeklies. And the more attention is paid to those comics, and the more some of the key issues go for higher and higher prices, then we can make another showcase or maybe even a section in the signature auction one day. So that's it's just a matter of time, because a lot of collectors don't want to just dump all their comics and see it not go for what the prices we think it should go for. So
yeah, I think that it's a developing market here in the U.S. that's beginning to see more and more appreciation. Yeah. I tell you, if you look at, I think that's a pretty sweet book there. But if you look
again, the cover is great.
Yeah, it's great. But if you look at the Brazilian Timely Golden Age books, oh my!
And it's just like there's certain things, like there's one very famous one where it's Human Torch and Superman, which is technically the first crossover ever between the two companies, and it was in Brazil. So, and
the Mexican Spider-Man, the El Sorprendente, some of the Gwen alternate storylines from what we know, we've seen some amazing results with those. They're really cool.
With Gwen Stacy, the Gwen wedding, and there's also the Indian Spider-Mans, which is also non-canon. Those are very expensive. Or any Indian, we're actually might be getting some of the Batmans, and that has a lot of a big following in the international community because they're extremely rare. So,
is it the Brazilian PCH stuff that's really
there's a lot of also Brazilian PCH, and we're trying to make a pre-code horror auction sooner than later, March, maybe April, so we can put a lot of the stuff that the consigners have been sending us. So, but there's a lot of different covers. There's a very big artist in PCH in Brazil called Jaime Cortez, and there's also pulps, which I've been seeing some of those, and it has different covers than the American pulps. So, and again, more gruesome sometimes. So it's very cool.
Well, speaking of pulps, we have
Is that a pulp or a comic? 'Cause
This
that's
is-
very interesting.
This is a pulp
Okay.
that was graded by CGC. There are some of these earlier kind of like thinner pulps that had already been graded. I've only seen like one or two, but this is Cupid's Capers, October 1933.
This is a great cover.
It's a pretty great Enoch Bullis cover. We describe it as being outrageous.
Yes, it is kind of outrageous, but it's great. And again, I'm pretty sure he did the pink underwear on purpose because it kind of blends.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't necessarily notice that she's wearing stuff right off the bat.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, this show just became a little PG-13. I apologize. but this is from 1933. So blame your great grandpa or something. Okay. It's not. This is like 90 years old. Okay.
1933. Yeah.
And it's a CGC 5.0. It's the first copy we've ever had of this.
Oh wow.
And so I think it's listed in the Bookery Guide as scarce, and I think that we have this auction going on right now for pulp magazines, the Jack and Joni Kump collection. You can get there by going to ha.com /40215, or you can just see it on the comics homepage when they have the little scroll across. You'll see that we're gonna. Oh, there it is, right there. You'll see that we'll have that. That's one of the featured auctions we have going right now. It's going to be really fun. If you have not looked into pulp magazines, you might want to check it out. They're pretty neat.
And how many days are left? Because it looked like it was 2 days left or something like that.
It's not. No, I think we still got a little bit of time left.
Okay.
February is it?
January 26th.
January 26th. So yeah, we're still got a little bit. You still have time left to get your bids in. And the next book we're going to show you is the one that's kind of featured on the web cover, and that is Spicy Mystery Stories, February 1936. Let's see here. There we go. Spicy Mystery Stories, February 1936. And you see you have the story is Batman by Lou Merrill. And it's not Batman that we know as DC, but it's still a pretty amazing H.J. Ward cover. And I highly recommend it with this hanging, gruesome guy here. It's a pretty, there we go. And that's, believe it or not, I mean, even though that's sitting at 4,400, that is not where it will end. That is a pretty awesome book. And this book from that period in 1936, this is in pretty nice shape. We have it graded as a VG to fine. One little tip I want to give you about pulps that's kind of interesting. A lot of times people look at pulps and they're trying to ask, are these pulps trimmed? Okay, are they trimmed? And because you might see, okay, there's overhangs. These like the cover kind of overhangs beyond the pages. All right.
A lot of the time, especially on the side, right?
On the side as well. And so you might think, you might look at a pulp and go, this bottom doesn't have much of an overhang. Maybe it was trimmed. Well, I think you can tell a lot of times, you can tell by if it looks like it was like jaggedly cut or there was miscut. But a lot of times if the bottom, for instance, is really tight to the pages and you see the top has a heavier overhang, it's just the way they were placed in. They didn't have perfect mechanical processes to get this just right. And sometimes they have them slightly off center. Pulps are, you have to be delicate with them. You have to hold them. They're very...
Well, a lot of them are over 100 years old. So
yeah.
And didn't they get better with the machining later where they did trim them in-house?
Yeah, they trimmed them in-house later. Yeah.
So that's something that you again, you learn about your hobby and you learn how to identify whether it was trimmed then or trimmed by the production process or so on. So
here's another one we have that's pretty good. Saucy Stories, April 1936. This is a pretty nice shape.
Oh, this is great shape.
Yeah,
for a pulp.
Yeah, I think we've got this as a fine or a fine minus. I can't remember. What do we call it there? We call it fine minus, and it's black cover. It's the first copy we've had, I believe. I mean, this is she's getting fitted for her outfit. It's a Lily's Easter in this issue, Model for Love. And this is a Norman Saunders cover, actually. One of the great classic pulp artists. And he's done some comic work as well.
That looks like an old black and white actress's face.
Like Mae West?
No, maybe not Mae West, another one. But
which one do you think of?
I don't remember, but that face looks familiar. It looks like he took it from Hollywood. So
I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
yeah, so
yeah, these, I'll tell you, you just you don't see too many of those around. Like that's a book that I've looked for myself before and haven't been able to pick up. And to have a nice copy available here at this auction is pretty great. And so between what we have going on this week in our weekly auction with comics and comic art and
other stuff and other memorabilia, books, we've been selling some books. So
there's been a lot of Arkham House books that if you're not familiar with those, you might want to check those out. I mean, it's Heritage is definitely a place to find the stuff you don't see. You're just not going to see some of this stuff on eBay.
And again, if you haven't found it, you can also put a want list keyword. So our color guides still used. I mean, color guides, they were more prolific back then. Now all the coloring is done digitally.
Yeah,
so they're not. The colorists, I know a lot of them went from doing it by hand, went over when the transition happened to doing it on digital pads and stuff like that. But all of that is now done. It's not done by hand. An artist we'll see is like Paulo Rivera, Alex Ross. They'll paint their pieces, and basically that is how the finished piece is, and that's how they'll reproduce it. But most of the time now with the black and white art, nobody Xeroxes like they used to. And makes a color guide. So, and again, what are the Wheatman comics? Well,
those were after Gold Key. You'll see those like they came a lot. A lot of them are Disney. They came after Gold Key.
And sometimes when they'll particularly mention those, you'll have a big W on the corner box, and some of those came in 3-packs. Some of the more valuable ones would have been in those 3-packs where it was only published in the 3-pack and wasn't published to newsstands and stuff like that. So,
as a kid who grew up in the 70s, when I would be home not feeling well, Whitman comics were usually what my mom brought me, because she didn't understand I wanted to read about Spider-Man. She was like, she goes, I know he watches.
Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes, yeah. I'll bring him something, like a Daffy Duck or whatever.
The what I would call is just like Superman back in the day. The only word I have for him is wholesome.
Right.
So, again, any other questions or any other comments, feel free to ask. I have some comics. Well, again, if you have a list or you have them pictured, you can send the comic list to Rick Akers, rick@ha.com, or myself at XavierC@ha.com, or you can send it also to Brian if you're missing Brian at brianw@ha.com. So, and then
he's already got it now. Right? He's busy out there.
That way we can evaluate the comics and see if they meet the requirements for the Heritage comic department and stuff like that. So,
yeah, if you have anything like the things you've seen today, definitely reach out to us or Brian, and we'll be happy to help you out.
And again, if you have any other questions, or if you want to place a comment, or again, just send us an email afterwards. We're always here to answer any questions or anything like that. Again, Tommy put up the emails, and we're more than happy to help in any way we can. So,
well, thanks for having me today. I'm glad to fill in for Brian. I'm sure in 2 weeks we'll be happy to have him back. And,
we should just get some more videos and just plug them in.
Just plug them into the videos.
It's Brian.
It's Brian. That's right.
Well, again, my name is Xavier Chavez.
I'm Rick Akers.
And it's always great talking to you guys. So,
all right.
See you soon.